Good morning. This is day 28 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where you have questions, I try to give answers, and we are here to keep each other company. We're all quarantined. We all have to stick together. Let us spend the morning. You brew yourself up a nice cup of magic, and let's hang out and talk some magic. As usual, we do this on Twitch Live Mondays to Fridays, weekdays, and we have Coffee and MTG at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. I am so happy to be here to see all of you. Come join me as I drink my cup of coffee. Brew whatever you want. If it's the morning, it's the afternoon. If it's the evening, it's always time. It's always the right time to have a cup of magic. And as I say this, we already got the squad in here. Hello, Courtesy. Good morning, Thomas. Deck list add-ons. We're real streamers. Yes, we are real streamers. I even have other real things. Look. I got the stupid floodlights just the other day ago. We got floodlights. I don't think it's appropriate right now. Look, I can have a blue background. Feels a bit cold for the morning though, but I think it'll be good when we're actually streaming stuff. Look, I can have purple. So I can have one side purple, the other side something else. I can have it even darker. Like if I cut the light out, look at this. Because I'm a streamer now. But you know what? We're not gamer streamer time. It's not gamer streamer time right now. It's morning in MTG. Maybe this is okay. Maybe I can have the lights on like this. This looks okay. Not too cold. Looks a little fun. I'm a game. I got everything. Got the floodlights. I've got the RGB keyboard. We're streamers now. Nikachu, when can we sub? Technically, you can sub right now. I have done it. I am an affiliate of Twitch, so technically you can now sub. I've broke all the records. I need 50 followers. I have 475 followers. I got everything. I don't have emotes yet. I'll have emotes ready by Friday. But aside from that, you can already you should be able to sub right. There's no option on my end. Well then, damn it. I don't know how to enable it yet. I just got the notification just a day ago that I made affiliate. So I guess we're going to have to wait until tomorrow for me to actually have it activated. I might have it activated by later this evening when I go stream my gameplay, which, by the way, happens at... we have gameplay at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Coffee and MTG, it happens every weekday, but gameplay streaming Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Hope to see you there. So good morning, Mikey J. Good morning, Cinzia49. Yep, 475 followers. And climbing. Hey there, buddies. Hi, Nikachu. Hello, hi to Volklagoo. What's up? Good morning, Georgiarza. Good evening, Vasilev16. Yeah, so we've made affiliate. We've done it. I'm a pure streamer now. Look, I got the floodlights in the background. We got these colorful lights. What other colors do we have? I could have red here. It's tricky. Sometimes the one controller will activate both. Look, I'm pointing this way and it activated this one. I didn't want you to do that. Here, go back to blue. But I don't want you both to be blue. Okay, go back to purple. Okay, come on. I'm like right next to you. Just do it. It's a finicky thing. Okay, let's not touch the floodlights anymore. It's okay. Just it can do its thing in the background. Thank you very much, Lucas. I appreciate it. We did it. We have absolutely done it. And Stream Elements has let us everyone know Coffee and MTG is online. I hope everyone's got a cup of coffee with them. Let's just take a sip of that coffee. Let's enjoy ourselves. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Let me know. You can either at Nikachu MTG or 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question. Helps me find your questions to answer them. Yeah, so I'll have to work on the sub thing as soon as I can. What are we playing today? We're probably going to play... Okay, today it is Whatever Wednesday. I have an exam tomorrow, so I'm not going to have a long stream, but the stream that I'm going to have on Whatever Wednesday is going to be... I'm going to play some more historic Merfolk. However... For whatever, I've been talking to Willie Hall from the Will Hall Experience, and he is interested in doing a little bit of a collaboration, and I proposed, you know what, some people, they want to see 2x Modern, where we cap the card limit at 2x a card. And you know what, I haven't discussed it with him that deeply yet, but I said, you know what, probably we can just unban everything in Modern, with the exception of probably Eye of Ugin. That probably should still be banned based on results in no ban Modern. But he likes the idea. Let's try this out. So not this Wednesday, but maybe next Wednesday. I haven't figured everything out with him. There's going to be a stream where we're going to play 2x Modern, where the number of cards in the card limit is capped at 2 instead of 4. So I can only play with 2 Lord of Atlantises. I can only play with 2 Master of the Pearl Tridents, 2 Aether Vials, etc. How that's going to work, I hope to show everybody. And I have no idea what on earth he's planning to bring to the table that when we play. But today we are probably going to play Historic, because I can just play that for a little while and then cut it out when I need to. Any update on Nescafe? I have not. The update so far is I'm still drinking Nescafe. Still drinking Nescafe Gold Dark Roast, delicious coffee, but still unsponsored. I have not sent my resume yet to Nescafe, but it's going to happen this weekend. So after that, I'm not going to talk about Nescafe until they get back to me. If they don't get back to me, we're just going to go to the next person. You know what? It's going to go from coffee and MTG to like Slurpee and MTG. I'm going to have a Slurpee every day from 7-Eleven. I'm going to bring it here, and then we'll do that for a month, and then we'll contact 7-Eleven to see if they're interested in sponsoring me. Although I have to say, Slurpee doesn't keep me as energized as the what's it called, coffee. In fact, sometimes it puts me to sleep. Good morning, Tuxtev. Good morning, Lord Magicus. Good morning, Kyoka66. Yeah, we're a professional streamer right now. Look at the lights. Look at my lights. Look at my floodlights. We got the blue. We've got the purple. Look at the lights. I'm a streamer now. It's official. Oh, we got the Will Hall experience. So hey, Willie Hall. What we're gonna do, just as an experiment, when we play test this 2x Modern thing, we're gonna no bans. Well, let's say Eye of Ugin is banned, everything else is unbanned. If you want to play Splinter Twin in 2x Modern, go for it. You want to play Deathrite Shaman, go for it. We're gonna say no bans in 2x Modern. Willie Hall here and myself, we're gonna have some sort of collaborations somewhere, hopefully soon in the future. Hopefully on Wednesday. I hope you're available on Wednesday. We might even rename it the Wednesday Willie Hall day, where we try some bullshit out. So we'll figure it out. Hi to Vocal Goo. Hey, I heard Jay, Merfolk Mistress, was playing 4 Cozy's Trickster. What's up with this card in today's metagame? I have nothing really too bad to say about it, but nothing great. It's not a very interactive card. I don't know how to evaluate it in today's metagame. Generally, Cozy's Trickster is good when there's a lot of shuffle effects. I don't know if we've got more shuffle effects now than we did before. Like, they keep printing out more fast lands. So if anyone doesn't know what Merfolk Trickster is, it's a Merfolk that whenever it's a 1/1 for 1. It's a very interesting card. Unfortunately, it just never works, basically. So whenever an opponent shuffles their library, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Now, in theory, this looks great, but in practice, it's really hard to get this +1/+1 counter in the early stages of the game, because once your opponent sees this, if they have fetch lands in hand, they just sandbag them. They just play anything that is not a fetch land for the first few turns, and then they start cracking the fetch lands. And let me tell you, when you have a 1/1 for 1, you want this thing to be big on turns 2, 3, and 4, not 5, 6, or 7. At that point, it's too late. In fact, Cozy's Trickster might be dead by now, but through a sweeper or something. But the point is, the opponent seems to have an enormous amount of control over how big this thing is. I would say, and I tried to bring it back when Primeval Titan was very big, when Stoneforge Mystic was very big, because when the level of shuffle effects are very high, then maybe this thing is good, but there just doesn't seem to be enough. Like, Burn doesn't fetch as much as they used to. Eldrazi Tron, like, okay, shuffles from expedition map. So it's actually very difficult for this thing to get, like, to work, because your opponent has control over how big it gets. They would have to be very unlucky to just have fetch lands in hand, and this thing just runs wild. So anyway, I don't know if it's any better or worse in today's metagame. That's all it is. So if you're new to Coffee and MTG, don't forget that this is a morning talk show. Oh, I can get rid of this banner. Sorry. This is a morning talk show. You give questions. I'm going to give answers. Let's brew up a cup of coffee. Let's enjoy some MTG conversation. And I'll just unofficially announce that unofficially sponsored by Nescafe Gold Dark Roast. Well, Nescafe, drinking the Gold Dark Roast stuff. Only the best stuff from Nescafe. Only available in Canada, apparently. Only available in Canada. So Canadians have the advantage of drinking the Nescafe Gold Dark Roast, but sorry, Americans, you have to come across the border, which you can't even do right now, thanks to the crisis, the world crisis. Good morning, Arkia. Who the heck is Willie Hall? This is Willie Hall. This is Willie Hall. I just call him Willie Hall because it rolls off the tongue a lot easier than the Will Hall experience. It's faster. That's Willie Hall right there. Raised his hand. Good morning, Thomas. Good evening, gents, ladies and gents. I'd be down to design some 2X decks if we can figure out a way to play them. Yeah, I mean, we just play on Magic the Gathering Online. That's all it is. You play on Magic the Gathering Online, and you just play in the free-to-play area. You know, anything goes. You just design. I guess you design a vintage deck. You even design a. I think maybe you just design a casual deck. I'm not sure how it works, but and then you just play in the casual area. 2X OG Affinity sounds super fun. Yep, it's possible. You could have everything 2X Mox Opal, 5-color Mox Opal shenanigans, but you can't have but you don't have the consistency that you used to because you're only limited at 2X, and that's the point, to limit the consistency of your busted starts. You could have a busted start, like you could go turn 1 Deathrite Shaman into Liliana the Veil, but those starts are going to be like far fewer in between than they used to. Good morning, Kiosk. Did they answer your proposal? Oh, you mean the Nescafe? I didn't ask yet. The problem is school is pretty busy. I have a very intense I have an intense class that lasts only 1 month. So just cramming it all in at once. Anyway, a whole class all in one. So I have not actually had a whole lot of time. I'm going to have a short stream today, gameplay stream today because of that. But I will get around to it this weekend. Hello. And here's, hype. Willie Hall is really excited for 2X Modern. I'm a bit excited. You know what? I just proposed this to the people, and a lot of people liked it. They liked the idea. Let's see what it looks like. And one thing I'm proposing is that you don't have to ban so many cards. I'm not sure if I'm super happy if 2X copies of Splinter Twin in the format, but whatever. Let's see what happens. Is it as busted as it used to be? Might not. You can get Dark Roast in Denmark. Oh, that's great. So, basically, the whole world has the Nescafe Gold Dark Roast except the United States. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Daedalus streaming said, how do you go about building a Magic the Gathering online collection? Well, okay, I'll tell you what I did. Now, one thing that I was blessed with from the beginning was I was already a relatively strong winning player. Or I was a strong enough player that, I could win in the events that I play in, whether it be in the 2-person queues or the dailies at the time. But first thing that I did is I bought a tier 1 deck. So I bought a standard deck at the time that was tier 1, and I was just grinding boosters, which I could sell for ticks at the time. There weren't treasure chests a long time ago. So I think that cost about $300-ish US, maybe 310, 330, 340. I don't know, somewhere between $300, $350. So that's where I started with. But because I was basically infinite from the start, as I was winning boosters, which I could sell for ticks, then I could buy the cards that I really want and keep adding them to my collection. So that's basically what I did. So basically, I mean, this is not the greatest formula, but like step 1, get good. Step 2, start grinding. And then as you earn the ticks, start spending them on, if you have excess ticks, I have like a certain amount of ticks that I reserve for tournament play. But if I have too much, then I end up buying the cards. And to be honest, I only buy cards that I know I use very, very often for my Merfolk toolbox. I don't have other decks and stuff like that. And also, if there's like weird cards I want to experiment with, like Noble Hierarch and stuff like that, I now have a sponsor with Card Hoarder. Thank you very much, Card Hoarder, for sponsoring me. So as a content creator, I pay a little bit less for experimentation. Although I used to not. I used to spend a lot of money experimenting on cards. Like I would buy, you know, playset a Noble Hierarch for like 200-ish ticks, and then if I wanted to sell it back, it would, you know, I would lose a good chunk of my ticks in that exchange for experimentation. Now I don't have to do that anymore. Noble Hierarch is also like I think way cheaper than it used to be when I was BSing around with it. But the point is, as you win, you can invest in the cards that you want for your collection. But I was only able to do it by investing in a tier 1 deck. Something I hear people do very often now: buy into a tier 1 deck into Pauper, because that's the like cheapest deck that you can buy into that can help you start grinding ticks. That's a very popular option. Like I heard people spent 50 ticks on a Delver deck, and you know, most of the investment was in days, and they just went away from there, and they just grinded from there. And these days I hear people are buying into Boggles or Burn or something, like some relatively competitive Pauper deck, because that's the like cheapest investment that you can make for a tier 1 deck. And then from there start grinding the Pauper leagues, which is as expensive as any of the other things. And then that's how you can grind from there. So anyway, that could be a suggestion for anybody who's trying to build a Magic the Gathering online collection. Hi to Volk will we ever see you playing a hopefully competitive Thassa or Kamena dual commander one day? Only if Wizards of the Coast supports commander competitively online. Maybe I could do something like that. I am in the process of... Oh! I don't know if I shared this with everybody. Did I share like what's going on with Commander and my friends? Like Day 2 Dryden? Whatever, let's tell the story again for anyone who's never heard it. I don't know if I shared it with you at all. So I used to have... So... Day 2 Dryden, Rodney Top 8 Thompson, they're like, they start talking about Commander. And then, you know, Day 2 Dryden's talking more and more about Commander. And at some point they're like, hey, should we just make Commander decks? Should we play Commander? Let's get together and play Commander. And then I'm like, guys, I had a Commander deck for like 8 years, since 2010. I just sold all the good cards 2 years ago. I sold all of them. I have nothing left. And now you want to play Commander? We've known each other for like 5 years, and now you want to play Commander. I had like a million Cyclonic Rifts. I had like 4 Cyclonic Rifts from the standard days when I played Mono Blue Devotion. I had another 4 foil Cyclonic Rifts, because I foiled out that standard deck at the time. Sold everything. I don't have anything anymore. All my good, any remotely valuable Commander staple, they're all gone. And they're like, let's play Commander. Let's buy into Commander. Whatever. All right, we're going to go back to Commander. We're going back to Commander. So I have to build a Commander deck. I used to have a Commander deck. I had a Wizard deck. And I mean, my Commander was just based... I rotated the Commander. Like the Wizard deck had millions of legendary creatures inside, so I just rotated the Commander everywhere. But anyway, now, you know, Day 2 Dryden, Rodney Top 8 Thompson, they're pretty high on making Commander decks. They're buying cards constantly right now for Commander. So I gotta make a Commander deck. Maybe we'll have even an exclusive video for this one day. But anyway, I have to make a Commander deck, and it's going to be Thassa. It's going to involve Thassa. I think Thassa is a very strong Commander. Very cheap to get out, hard to remove from the battlefield, offering value constantly. I think Thassa is like a Planeswalker, basically, especially for Commander. I think Thassa is I think Thassa is an underrated Commander. I think all these other weird Commanders are too goofy or whatever. But this is going to be a little bit more of a competitive field. They're not bullshitting. No one here is bullshitting around. We're a pretty competitive group. If they want to make pony decks, whatever, they can make pony decks. I'm not going to make the pony deck. So we're going to see like a Thassa. I prefer to be mono blue if I can. I only go like, why not Kumena? Because I prefer not to go Simic unless I have to. Like I go Simic in Modern because I have to. Mono blue just can't do it sometimes. But I prefer to be on mono blue if I can. I'm a mono blue player. So one day, if Magic the Gathering Online offers like serious competitive Commander leagues or whatever, I might be interested. Good morning, Niels Nielsen. How do you think Humans is in the current meta? I think Humans is fine. I think Humans is a relatively well positioned. Maybe not the most top tier deck, but Humans definitely still has all the tools that it may want, and it's getting a new tool in the form of what's it called? Containment Priest. And of course, there's so many humans in the Magic lore. Magic world that they're always going to get like something relatively good. They'll have endless options to choose from available to them. So humans is still good. So I have nothing against humans. A popular option, huh? So like if you want to get into Magic the Gathering Online and grind a collection, Pauper is the popular option. Absolutely. Is there a Magic the Gathering Online Duel Commander section? There is. There's something for Commander. I think it's Brawl. I can't remember if it's Brawl though. I'm not super deep into the Commander section. Like they don't have Commander, for example, Commander challenges or anything like that. Good morning, Monster CC. Commander with the buds is great though. It is. But I prefer they got into this like 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, I had everything. I had everything that a blue deck needed. And it's gone now. It's gone. To Fusion Gaming Online, my favorite local game store. Just built 10 ticks commit on Magic the Gathering Online. Yes, everything is much cheaper on Magic the Gathering Online. Which that's a God of the Sea. Indestructible. Makes things unblockable. Scries. I love the scrying thing. And I like that it's cheaper than the other Thassa. But I'm for the cheap Thassa. Yeah, the real one, of course. Kyoka66, do you think they will change the companion rule again? Because right now, at least in Standard, Yorion decks seem unaffected by it. I don't think so. I think this is going to be how it is. And if any other companions get out of line, then they're going to ban them. So Yorion might be the most likely card to get banned. They might just... Yeah, they like they have a lot of Planeswalkers right now that are just really good at stalling the board, like Teferi and also Narset. So there's a lot of options available for Yorion. Maybe they'll ban Yorion. I don't, because as is, all the other companions have been rendered fair. It's just Yorion that is the serious problem, and might still be a problem in all the other formats too. Good question though, very, very good question. I would not be too concerned about buying into a Yorion deck, because while your payoff is very strong, I think the Jeskai decks or I think just the control decks, period, are pretty good without Yorion. Like, I mean, I don't play Standard, but like, you know, like all those core cards are very strong in general. Yorion just takes it over the top. So I think even if you wanted to play with Yorion and there was a fear of banning, I would say your deck was still going to be very playable after Yorion gets banned. If this is, we're speculating here, they might not do anything at all. Lord Magicus from Team Azami. I know Lord Magicus loves his Azami, loves the Wizard Commander. A scroll's a scroll, and a roll's a roll, and we ain't get no scrolls if we ain't eat no rolls. That's right. And with that, we're gonna take a delicious sip of our Nescafe Gold Dark Roast. Wherever you are today, I hope you have brewed yourself up a good cup of coffee and tea. This is Coffee and MTG. By the way, if you're watching this on the replay, don't forget to give a thumbs up. If you're finding this entertaining, if you're finding this valuable to your life, making it part of your daily routine, EDH is pretty much must-be combo if you're being competitive. I don't think so. I don't think you need to be combo if you want to be competitive. I think you can do a good job taking other routes. Hey, I beat the Spike Feeders. Unless they were like playing soft against me, and I'll also admit I also drew all the best Merfolk that game. But Spike Feeders are competitive. And hey, and if you want a rematch, Spike Feeders, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm still here. M515. If you had to design a Merfolk Planeswalker, what abilities would it have? What would its CMC be? I've gotten this question a lot, and I keep changing the Planeswalker as it goes along. But at the very least, it has to be 3 CMC. If it's 4 CMC, and it has to do fucking everything. It basically has to have this ultimate that says you win the game, and your opponent can pack up their cards. But basically 3 CMC, and I also want this thing to be. It has to create value. So, and it has to have, I think it should have a good static ability. Like, all Merfolk you control have hexproof. So if they want to target my creatures, they have to kill the Planeswalker first. And it also has to create value so that if the Planeswalker dies, I at least got something for it. So that's always the best part of a Planeswalker, that you got value even after they answer the Planeswalker. So like maybe it's a Planeswalker that creates a elemental or merfolk, ideally a merfolk token, and the Planeswalker itself offers hexproof to, like, as a static ability of offering hexproof. Maybe it has only minus abilities. Hey, I'd be for that. I have no problem with that. Good morning, Dexter Johnson. Good morning. Do you think we'll see companion Planeswalkers? Probably not. Maybe. I mean that's basically what they have in Commander right now. You have a Commander that can be a Planeswalker. We'll see. We'll wait and see. I think I didn't expect, just based on like actions and things that Wizards of the Coast has said, that we're going to see companions really soon. Like, I think the companions that we have, that's it. That's it. They have no more design for the future. They might have plans pending how well this goes, but as is, they don't have. I don't think they have more companions going on in the future. And based on what's happened recently, they're not going to have like a companion Planeswalker. That might be too much, unless it's like super crap. I mean, technically, they can do anything. They could do anything with whatever they want, but they have to make it watered down. For that, you know, if you're gonna get an extra card, it has to be like really watered down. It's got to be like Gigantha, like, you know, it's that's a pretty crap companion that you can just randomly jam in some decks, but it's not really that good of a payoff compared to like Loris or Yorion or a Bosch in Standard, or what am I missing? There's one more good one. Whatever, but you get the idea. Hi to Volk Lagu. What would you design as a 0 CMC and a 4 CMC Merfolk Tribal Merfolk that would be playable without being overpowered BS? I have no idea how you make a 0 CMC Merfolk. I guess it has to be literally a 0/1. It has to be a 0/1 for 0 mana. A 4 CMC Merfolk that would be playable but without being over. Oh, like to be playable? I don't know how to make a 0 CMC one playable. Maybe a 1/0 Merfolk that demands a lord on the battlefield. So if you have a lord, then you can spew these things out. Or also if you had some effect that put tokens on it, counters on it, that might also work. It's hard to imagine something at 0 CMC. Unless it's a Merfolk land, like Arbor, what's it called? Not Arbor Elf. What's the green land? The green land that's a creature, I can't remember. But basically, it would have to be something to that effect. 4 CMC? Maybe a Merfolk Lord that comes with another... A Merfolk Lord that... And when it enters the battlefield, you get another Merfolk Lord. Something to that effect. Like, it enters the battlefield, put a token on the battlefield that's basically a copy of that thing, but you don't get any more ETB effect because it's already entered. It's already entered the battlefield, or something to that effect. So like, it's just a 4 CMC creature that comes with another Merfolk. It's a Lord, and it comes with another Merfolk Lord, so like double buffs everything, and it's like a decent chunk of power by itself, and it gives unblockability, and it gives a block. That's got to be playable. It's got to be a playable. Isn't competitive EDH all about casting Doomsday on like turn 2? Go for it. I got Force of Negation. I got Force of Will. I'm ready for you. Mandadork, I have noticed a trend over the last few years with Wizards of the Coast just focusing on value and asymmetrical effects. I think this is completely pushing out so many archetypes, mainly Prison, Taxes, 8-Rack. Have you noticed a similar thing in the game? Interested in your thoughts. So... Yes, I have noticed that. I think the idea with those asymmetrical effects, I think you're referring to like things like Teferi Time Reveler, things like Karn the Great Creator. And I think the idea of those, like, and Ashiok, they are all made to punish certain greedy strategies. And by doing, but it's weird that they didn't make them symmetrical. They could have, like, when they made Karn the Great Creator, when we got Karn the Great Creator, they totally could have made this symmetrical. Activated abilities of artifacts everyone controls can't be activated. They could have, even with Teferi Time Reveler, made that symmetrical. This could have been symmetrical. You could make a control deck with very few instants in it and force each player to play at sorcery speed. That could have been possible. And you play Teferi, you bounce the thing, the opponent plays something else, and then you take a turn, and then on your turn, maybe you kill it and play a creature, and you build a deck that's good at playing at sorcery speed, better than your opponent's playing at sorcery speed. And you still get card advantage, because your opponent you built your deck without instants. Your opponent will have some instants in their deck. So I think they could have done that. For some reason, to make them playable, or at least maybe playable in their mind, they made it asymmetrical. So it's like only one side of this, only one opponent, or only one side gets affected by the static ability, which is a bit stupid. But I've only seen it in like just a few cards, just like, Teferi Time Raveler, Karn, Ashiok, Narset, etc. I don't know if it was mandatory. They might have pushed it a little bit too far. That's why these cards are annoying. But I don't know if this is going to be a trend going on way deep into the future. Tuckstep says, well, every ultimate is some variant of win the game. Basically, yes. Basically, that's just how it is. I mean, so long as it's hard to work towards the ultimate, I do not mind ultimates that say win the game. I mean, it says on the card, we're going to win the game. Like, we're going to win the game. I just want to make sure that it's hard to get to. G. Castrod says, good morning to you too. Good morning, my game crashed. Well, we're having a great chat today. I hope you're all enjoying the chat. If you're enjoying the chat, if you're watching on the replay, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Helps the video. And also, if you want to be a part of the action, do you want to be live asking questions, come over to twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. We do this Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to have a great show. We have a great show. We have great conversations here. I really enjoy it. I enjoy doing this every single morning. And with that, we're going to take a nice, delicious sip of my Nescafe Gold Dark Roast. Not sponsored at all, but maybe one day. You got an extra free week, Nescafe, because I've been busy. You got an extra free week of free advertisement. Companion Planeswalkers would be the ultimate troll job. Oh yeah, Dryad Arbor was the land I was thinking about. So if there were, for a 0 CMC Merfolk, that's probably the closest I could think about. And I don't even know how many I would play. I would probably play some. Because you could Violet in play. I would probably have a 19 land mana base, and maybe I would have 3 lands, 3 of these like Dryad Arbor type lands for Merfolk. Because you can Violet in play with the Vial on 0. You can play Cavernous Souls, Merfolk, play Aether Vial, at end of turn, Vial in the 0 mana land. You can do that. Yeah, absolutely. And then on turn 2, you can put 2 Lords in play and attack for 3. Not bad. Not bad at all. That would be great. Maybe that's a card I didn't even think about. Fuck the 1 mana Merfolk. Let's get the 0 mana, 1 mana Dryad Arbor Island Merfolk. That's where we need to be. Don't worry, Wizard of the Coast has a history of last-minute watering down of cards without causing unintended consequences. Please don't mention Skull Clamp. Yeah, they screwed up on Skull Clamp. Hey, you know what's an interesting thing? I don't know if anyone knows this. But Brazen Borrower actually is a watered down version of the original card. So Brazen Borrower says, for petty theft, return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. This was a last-minute change. Originally, it said you could bounce anything. You could bounce Brazen Borrowers back to your hand. You could just keep, shuffling them around. I don't know how you take advantage of that. Oh yeah, you bounce something, you play the Brazen Borrower, then you return your own Brazen Borrower back to your hand to rebounce something and then replay it. So anyway, they're like, do you know what? This is a bit too chaotic. This is a bit too stupid. We can't do this. So they made a last-second change that you can only return stuff from your opponent's side. Only your opponent's stuff. You can't bounce your own. But originally, it said bounce your own. They made a last-minute change on this. They made a last-minute change on this, but it didn't change anything else. There's a lot of other stuff that slipped through the cracks at Wizards of the Coast that now sees play in all formats, basically. Frilled Mystic has a lore. Frilled Mystic has a Merfolk lore that might push our deck. Yeah, probably. So long as it has some utility, like Frilled Mystic as it is. You know, sometimes it's clunky in historic, but I mean, if it has some really good effect without having to actually counter something, that would be great. Mr. Blue also on the Dryad Arbor thing, being able to answer my questions. It just goes to show there's so many cards I do not know the name of. I know what the cards do. I know how they attack me. I know their threat. I've memorized, more or less memorized the text box. I have no idea what cards are called. I think people might be getting sick of standard at the moment. The queues are longer and facing the same people more often in the last few days. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the standard environment right now, so I can't really speak for it. I'm only in historic queues. Everyone involved in printing T3 Fairy should be fired from a cannon directly into the sun, no exceptions. And like I said, I've said this actually many times, to turn 3 to Fairy, that got spoiled on April 1st. April 1st, that's when we learned about this card in 2019. I thought it was a joke. I literally thought it was a joke. It's like, nice April Fool's joke, community. That's great, Magic community. And then like a few days later, it's still in the spoiler page. I'm like, what? This thing's real? Anyway, it was a surprise. It was a pretty big surprise, and it turned out it's very high in the annoying factor, but I don't think it's in the bannable factor. But maybe they'll ban it one day. I don't know. Who knows? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Dataless Streaming says, I don't usually drink coffee, but you've convinced me to try Nescafe. What's wrong with coffee? I love coffee. Everyone should. Well, I don't know if everyone, like if you're like, you got to manage your caffeine. So, you can't like just drink. Like I'll sometimes just drink this much of a cup of coffee for the entire day. Other people, they like drink an entire huge mug and they drink like 3 cups of that. That's way too much. And that's when you start getting into insomnia world. So you don't want to be in insomnia world. You want to stay in like a real world. So, you got to be careful with it. But all things considered, I love my coffee. Can't be without the coffee. The art is good though. From on to Fairy, turn 3 to Fairy. Oh, Daedalus Streaming says, that isn't true, but you can crop it and use it in your proposal. Well, I'm only going to send them the real stuff. You might say you bought the damn thing, but they only care about when people actually purchase stuff because of it. Manadork, besides the asymmetrical annoyances, the focus on value has made it nearly impossible to play a prison/taxes/discard strategy. Do you think that is on purpose because they are unfun? If so, would you say value town things like Uro, Urza, Astrolabe would qualify as making things more fun? I think Urza and Uro make things more fun in a way. I think Astrolabe actually makes things less fun in a lot of ways because it's hurting certain strategies that used to prey on decks. Okay, any deck that utilizes Astrolabe today didn't really have a presence in Modern because there were other strategies, particularly Blood Moon strategies, which would kill them from ever existing. And now those strategies because they can dodge Blood Moon, they can exist. I will say that they are fighting. The thing about Magic though is it always has these eras. Like I said a long time ago, one of the best strategies was land destruction, Stone Rain, Pillage. Then there was like green land destruction with Plow Under. You want to see this? This used to be a staple. A staple way back in the day. Plow Under. It's like 5 mana sorcery. Put 2 target lands on top of their owner's library. Not in their hand, on their library. So you lost 2 turns of tempo and you lost 2 cards. It's a huge beating. It doesn't look like much on paper, like just from looking at it. But if that thing gets cast on you, you get crushed. It's a huge beating if you get plowed under. So resource denial in the form of mana was very popular way back in the day. And then if you wanted to beat that sort of strategy, then you had to have a lot of mana in the form of artifacts and stuff like that. or your strategy, people played with artifacts like Mana Vault, and also they played with like Dark Ritual. So getting around, finding a good way of beating this sort of Stone Rain crap was very important. So then we entered a new era. Well, I mean, we've had many different eras, but then we entered an era of like attrition, where they made things like Thoughtseize. I can't seem to ever spell Thoughtseize on my first shot. Where we are now exchanging resources in the hand, and Thoughtseize, Inquisition of Kozilek, Duress, Kolaghan's Command, make you discard a card. We went through an era of attrition and card advantage. You want to have as much card, card advantage did matter, but also attrition mattered. And I would say, Thoughtseize has more or less been a really big player in all competitive formats for like, I don't know, the last 10 years. And now we're entering an era of like just brute force card, like just like a surplus of card advantage with things like Uro. So like right now, here we go, Uro. So now we're entering an era where we never run out of cards. And they're designing the game in a way that it is really difficult for you to just undermine people's card advantage. We now have the London Mulligan, which basically says you can never have a crap hand to start with, and you're going to have a good ratio of threats and mana sources. We've got, more cards like Uro. They made the Companions, which is an extra card from the sideboard. We are now moving into an era where everyone's going to have unlimited resources. Not unlimited, but basically enough resources that we're not going to run out of them. We're not going to get mana screwed. We're not going to get mana flooded. We're always going to have something to do with our mana no matter what. You pay 3 mana for Uro, well, now you can escape it later. So we're now entering an era where you can't... It's going to be very hard to restrict your opponent completely on resources. We're moving into a very resource-abundant era of Magic the Gathering. And then whoever best utilizes their resources against the other person who utilizes their resources is going to come out the winner. It's no longer going to be a game of you crush your opponent's resources to nothing. You have some resources to work with and you win the game because your opponent ran out. Now, both sides have a bunch of resources, and whoever utilizes them the best takes over. So I think that is generally the era that we're coming through. Now, let's answer the last question, or one of the questions, like, is it impossible to play a prison, taxes, or discard strategy? I would say discard, if your strategy with discard is strictly to remove all threats from hand and that's it, I think that's a bad strategy. Is discard valuable? Yes, because you can slow down the tempo of your opponent. You can take down the earlier portions of their the earlier threats of their game. So you can use it as a tempo strategy. You can also use discard to just dismantle the best cards from their hand away, take them away, and then deal with the rest with your other value-oriented cards. But discard definitely lost a lot of, I wouldn't say it lost a lot of value, but you have to use discard at a different angle. So, maybe Thoughtseize, for example, is better on the draw than on the play, because on the draw, you're going to have an extra card that you can use to discard from your opponent, and you can affect their curve as they try to curve out. If on turn 1 they play a land, you take your turn and you Thoughtseize your opponent, and they have only 1 2-drop, and you take the 2-drop, now they don't have anything to do on turn 2, and you basically bought yourself a turn to catch up in that game. Is a taxes strategy possible? Absolutely. I think taxes strategies can still work. They're still, but they might need to be proactive. I think, like, for example, the best taxes strategy in Modern today is Eldrazi Tron. Eldrazi Tron is the strongest taxes deck right now, and what makes it work is that they've got a good proactive game. You can no longer tax your opponent and hope that once they've completely been locked out, you win with Grizzly Bears. You can't do that anymore. You have to at least have a good plan of curving out and trying to beat up your opponent. So like attack strategy will still work, but you got to be at least proactive to beat your opponent before your opponent basically draws enough resources to get back into the game. So and Eldrazi Tron does this. through Chalice of the Void, through Karn the Great Creator to find their lock pieces. They got Ghost Quarter, they've got like Tectonic Edge, so they've got enough taxing strategies that combined with their proactive threats, the Matter Reshapers, the Thought Knot Seers, which strip the hand, by the way, the Reality Smashers, the gigantic Walking Ballistas, that they tax you enough to get a good board presence, and then they smash you before you can get back into the game. So I think it's possible, but you have to be more proactive. You can't be like, one prison strategy that's really dead is mono red prison, because it's not proactive enough. Their plan is just to completely lock you out of the game with like Ensnaring Bridge, Blood Moon, whatever. And I can even tell you as a Merfolk player, like the Ensnaring Bridge part didn't even work very well, because like if you give me 15 turns to draw Echoing Truth, I'm gonna find it. Like, I'm going to find it. If your plan was to like get was it Koth the Hammer? Like, I've had opponents that plan on like playing Koth the Hammer and ticking it up to -5, ultimating it, and then try to kill me with this mountain strategy. It's just too slow. It's just too slow. So if you want to play a prison strategy, you want to play a taxes strategy, have a proactive game plan attached to it, and it will work even in 2020. Even in 2020. Great question. Great conversation. I hope that was a great conversation. I don't know how if everyone agrees with it, but that was a very interesting question. And we see like the most proactive like sort of game plans, the more proactive prison-like strategies are doing well. So remember, if you have any questions, 3 question marks before, 3 question marks afterwards, just like Mr. Blue has done here. What if Benthic Biomancer was a 2/1 with the same abilities? It'd be great. I'd be satisfied. So I would not cry for an extra 1-drop. 1 mana for a 2/1 creature. I'm satisfied. Give it to me, Wizards. Not great on blocking, but you know what? It would exchange with a lot of stuff. I'd be fine with it. I would love it. Still would be able to attack into a lot of things. If they want to block, then I'll activate it with I would activate the ability. Now that we are back from the Companion Apocalypse, do you think we will return to calls for combo bans in Pioneer? Good question. Probably not. I mean, people will still be upset by it, but I think the people who I think Pioneer has like settled down, and people just accept the format for what it is, which is like a very early iteration of Modern, which had quite a bit of combo. We had the Splinter Twins, we had the Birthing Pods, and that's just how it is. And it's still a pretty diverse format. It's not grossly narrow. But I understand there were some, people, whoever stuck with Companion, they've accepted it. And that's just how the Companion is. Because I'm not hearing a whole lot of backlash for like new bans for Pioneer. I'm not really hearing much news for Pioneer, period. French author Balzac supposedly drank 50 cups of coffee a day and would start munching raw grounds when the buzz wore off. That's taken coffee to a whole other degree. Niels Nielsen, would you say 5-mana Teferi was badly designed? No, I think it was good. I think it was a well-designed card, actually. I think the 5-mana Teferi, it's a very powerful card. It does a lot of things. It basically does win the game on the spot if they get to untap with it. But I think it's a pretty fair card. It's basically 3 mana, but you do have to pay 5 mana up front. So that means you are still going to lose to a lot of combo. Like 5 mana is a lot. So you're still going to lose to combo decks that, try to combo off by turn 4. You're still going to lose to a lot of aggro decks that like aggro you out by turn 4. I think it's a strong, but I think relatively well-designed card. Maybe there's something else I might have changed. Maybe, I don't know. I'd prefer things got put in my hand instead of getting buried on like 3 deep into my library. But aside from that, 3-mana Teferi is okay. I think it's okay. Dexter Johnson says, I don't necessarily enjoy the metagame in Pioneer, but I think that a lot of decks can compete with combo just rising to the top. It's fun to beat them, though. I mean, and like first off, we got the data from Wizards of the Coast that Dimir Inverter is beatable. Like the metagame can just hate on the damn thing. The Lotus, what's it called? Not Lotus Breach. Well, yeah, we can call it the Lotus Breach deck. The Lotus Field Breach deck is also beatable with hard sideboard hate and a proactive game plan. So you can't take forever because they do have answers to things like Damping Sphere and whatever. So that we've got answers to the combo decks. I don't know if we have great answers to the mono white devotion deck, but whatever. We've got something. So there is combo, but there are answers. Mr. Blue says, I get insomnia with caffeine, so no thanks. All right, so caffeine affects people stronger than others. Mikey J, can you give us a rundown on how to properly disrupt the Tron decks with Spreading Seas? Great question. So I'm assuming this is just normal Tron, not Eldrazi Tron, because again, I'll just say this much. I don't Spreading Seas against Eldrazi Tron unless I know they've got Tron by turn 3, like they have Tower, Mine, Power Plant. That might happen because they've got what's it called, Expedition Map in play, and I don't do that because they can't regularly get this thing out. They don't have Tron reliably, so I don't want to spend a turn playing Spreading Seas. I want to spend a turn getting my creatures out. Now, if you want to talk about normal Tron, and maybe this doesn't have to be about Spreading Seas. This can be about Ghost Quarter. This can be about a lot of different cards that disrupt Tron lands. If they have 2 different Tron lands out, I will Spreading Seas it to prevent them having Tron by the next turn. But I have to wait for it. If they've got like Forest, Urza's Tower, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to hold on to my Spreading Seas. I'm just going to play other cards. I'm going to mass a good board position. I will prefer, however, if I have counter spells and Spreading Seas, I will still prefer to play the Spreading Seas when I see 2 different Tron lands. And the reason for that is I don't really... If they have Tron lands, they could end up spewing out a bunch of stuff instead of one big thing. It's appealing to like maybe just counterspell a Karn and then hit the Tron land afterwards. But what if they play Oblivion Stone and Sylvan Scrying and like play Expedition Map? Then they overload your counterspells, and that's not good. And if they have that Expedition Map, then they can go find like Blast Zone and things like that. So I would say that's my best advice. I mean, I will play Spreading Seas if there are 2 different Tron lands out. Especially at 5 if they started the game with 7 cards. If they started the game, no, it doesn't matter. If they start the game with 4 or 5 cards, I'll still disrupt them anyway. It doesn't matter. So if they have the two Tron lands waiting for the 3rd, I will play Spreading Seas. If they got a Forest and Urza's Tower, I won't touch them. Like a good example here, if it's turn 2 and I have Spreading Seas and they've only have 1 Urza's Tower out, then I'm not playing Spreading Seas. I might as well play a creature because they can't have Tron by next turn. Then next turn when they play Urza's Power Plant and they have Urza's Tower in play, now I'm going to hit one of them. Now, maybe one other piece of advice is when you Spreading Seas something and you don't know what's the vulnerable land, aim Spreading Seas Urza's Mine and Urza's Power Plant over Urza's Tower. So like if you don't know if you don't know what the vulnerable land is, always go for Urza's Mine and Urza's Tower. And the reason for that is if you force your opponent to look for more mines and power plants and not the tower, that's going to be good for you in the long run, because if they blow everything up, then they'll have less mana on the battlefield. So everyone is instinctively Spreading Seas the Urza's Tower. That is, if I know that that's the only one land that they have, that might be fine. But if that is, if I don't know if they have, basically, if I don't know what the sensitive land is on the battlefield, hitting the Urza's Tower is not good, because then you force your opponent to Sylvan Scrying for another Urza's Tower or Expedition Map for another Urza's Tower, and they put more towers on the battlefield. And then if they wipe the board with, say, Ugin or Oblivion Stone, now they have more Urza's Towers on the battlefield, and they'll have extra mana for things like Walking Ballista and Ulamog or whatever. I really don't know what they're going to cast, but they'll have more mana because you force them to get more Urza's Towers. So anyway, that is my... I hope that was valuable. I hope that was valuable. Thank you very much for the question. Great questions. A lot of great conversation here. When can we see Day 2 Dryden here? He's busy right now. He actually works. It's probably, but we probably won't see him for the morning show unless he has a day off. Will the reprint of Heroic Intervention in M21 see play in Historic Merfolk? Nope. I don't think that card is good. I've never really liked Heroic Intervention. I don't like it because it's hard to use. I think I have enough game against control decks. I don't care. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it says permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Maybe it's fine against some control decks, just like as a counterspell for Kaya's Wrath. But there's not. The thing is, when I should just use a counterspell. If I'm really trying to protect myself against Kaya's Wrath, use a counterspell. That's it, and it's more flexible against other decks. I understand. Maybe Heroic has some Heroic Intervention has some play against like red-green aggro decks. Maybe because if you play this, they can respond like, I don't know, stomp your creature, and now you got 2 for 1 anyway. So it's risky. It's risky business. It's more. It's not as easy of a card as it looks to play. What's your favorite reprint from the core set of 21? I don't know, maybe Containment Priest. I think that's a cool card, but like, there's nothing that really excites me as a Merfolk player. Is Uro playable in Simic Merfolk? In theory, yes. Probably not. Mostly because of the cost of the escape cost is way too high. So like, are you talking about like, you have to give me a format here. In Modern, this is not playable because the double green, double blue is impossible. Between the Cavernous Souls and between Cavernous Souls and Mutavault, this is never happening. It's never happening. Now for Historic, maybe this is something I've not experimented with. It's possible. The 5 cards in the graveyard is going to be difficult, but it's possible. Something worth exploring. Manadork, I do agree. I think fast, aggressive prison decks like Mono Red Prison can still have legs. I was referring more to things like Lantern Control, Eggs, other lockout decks. I do agree that the things that are moving back towards a more play to the board type game, which I don't hate. I'm just not a fan of the unlimited resource style play. Thanks for the conversation. So Lantern Control got killed because decks became more graveyard based. Lantern Control's strategy was putting cards in the graveyard from your library, and so you couldn't utilize them. But we've become much more graveyard based than we ever have been before. Look at Uro. Like, look at Uro. You're going to put this in the graveyard? Who cares? It doesn't matter. I can use it. There's more resources now in the graveyard that we can use. So that's undermined Lantern Control strategy big time. It put a big hurt on Lantern Control. Not to mention, like, Lantern Control also took a huge beating. Karn the Great Creator destroyed this deck, and also the banning of Mox Opal. Now it's super finished off the deck, so we're not going to see it. The metagame has completely changed to a point where Lantern Control can't come back. Can't really speak very much for Eggs, where Eggs was not really a lockout deck. It was a combo deck. Eggs probably has a problem even today with like Chalice of the Void. If Eldrazi Tron playing Chalice of the Void in the main, being a really good police for that sort of deck. Niels Nielsen says, I feel like Metamorphose is some of the best cards. I feel like Metamorphose is some of the best cards ever, just like the companions were before it, because there is no downsides. It replaces itself when you draw and you get the mana back, and coding the spell is really good for net decks. I think net decks that benefit off it. Do you think that is completely insane to think? I don't know if I'm not exactly sure what your question is here, but is Metamorphose an insane card? Yes. Metamorphose one day could get banned. That is definitely a card that one day, if it's broken enough by enough decks, if it's found, like it could get banned. It might be on its way. Mono Red Prowess already is utilizing this card, and I would say it is utilizing it in like a really unfair way. It's not a card that could be safe 10 years into the future. I don't see it's in any danger of getting banned anytime soon in the next few years, but who knows what they're going to what they print. And like, no, here we go. Tuxdev's got nailed it. Metamorphose is free free stuff is trouble. Manamorphose definitely one day could get banned. It's got the qualities, and it's only played in a stupid way. No one's playing Manamorphose to fix their mana, people. No one's using it to put, like, Gore Clan Rampager in play. Manamorphose is not meant to fix your mana. It is just to get a free spell, free cantrip, fill your graveyard, do busted stuff. It's not there to have fun, and it's not there to fix your mana. It was a stupid card. So I can't speak many good things for the future of Manamorphose way deep into the future. How do you recommend figuring out which modern deck to play? Play them. Well, hopefully you already have some experience with what modern decks you like. You could take it two ways. You could just play a tier 1 strategy because it's tier 1, but I would recommend playing something that you like. Do you like control decks? Do you like aggro decks? Do you like mid-range decks? Good mid-range deck right now would be something like Uroza. Good control deck would just be some control deck, either like a Stoneblade deck or like an Bant Uro control deck. You want to play aggro? Burn and Prowess are there for you. You want to play combo? We still have combo decks. Ad Nauseam is there for you. So, I would start with what kind of strategy do you like to play? Because if you're a control player, then, I would say, stay far away from maybe combo decks or aggro decks. You're not going to want to play Mono Red Prowess or anything like that. You planning to change some pieces in your historic deck for today's live? Nope. I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to stick with it. And then, like, if I really go nowhere with this list, I will change something eventually. Maybe I'll go to best of 3. I don't really like best of 3, though. I just don't like how in an hour I might only play 2 or 3 matches. With best of 1, we go through millions of matches. I love it. I really like it. My sideboarding in best of 1 is just change the deck if the deck isn't working out anymore. Just change the deck. That's right. And we do have good sideboard cards for best of 3. We have more counter spells. I love the Tempest Caller. Tempest Caller is a great deck. It's all great. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Don't forget, if you want to watch this live, go to twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. Everyone who's joined me today knows where to find the live stream. Gameplay, we always start at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, Mondays to Fridays. I do have gameplay at 1 p.m., which is always an hour from now, for only on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Of course, if you want to support the show, you can support me. Well, you can support with subscriptions on Twitch when I get them enabled. You can also support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Nikachu MTG. We had some great conversations today. We had a lot of fun. And we're gonna have more conversations every single day. Monster CC asked, "What's the deck today?" It's gonna be Historic Merfolk. That's what we're gonna play on whatever Wednesday, because I don't have much time. We'll just play it like an hour and a half of Historic Merfolk. I love the deck. I love the format, and I hope to play some more stuff of that. Thank you very much, everyone, for your questions. Don't worry, we're gonna do this every single weekday until we're out of quarantine, and then who knows, maybe we're still going to do it. The show is great. You love the show. I love broadcasting it, and I love doing it for all of you. And we have great questions people always ask about. They're always wondering. I'll let you know what my opinion is. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. This has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master for Coffee and MTG. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.